Hey, 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 welcome to the Stoltman Football Network post-NFL draft. We are going to delve into the Los Angeles Chargers. I have a special guest. His name's Daniel Hart. He was my roommate, believe it or not, out here in California for almost the better part of 6 years. A diehard Chargers fan, diehard football fan. He's a diehard sports fan in general. It's almost sickening. Great football mind, great analysis. Daniel, say what's up.
Hi, Nick. Thank you for having me on. How's it going?
It's going good, man. I'm just excited to be doing a podcast. Had enough time to digest the draft and, who won, who's an A, who's a D, who's an F, and, kind of assess how your team did and kind of talk about it. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your backstory as a Chargers fan / football fan?
So I grew up playing all sports, watching all sports, and then when I was about 8, I got hooked on watching sports, playing flag football, and then me and my dad, we really enjoyed watching football together, and my first game going to a live game was the San Diego Chargers. So the Chargers were the closest team I could drive to. So they became my team since we didn't have an LA team since the LA teams had already left when I was very, very little. So they became my team, and I've been rooting for them ever since. They're very personal to me. They've broken my heart a lot of times, but I've stayed with them. I mean, when my mom passed, there was a funeral. And it was the same day as when the Chargers choked against the Patriots when they were 14-2. So I have a very, very connected emotional attachment to the team, and hopefully they'll have a good season this year.
So let's start with how last season ended and a couple of the free agency moves that happened prior to the draft.
Well, Rivers had a really good career for us, and he will retire. They'll probably retire his jersey, but it was time. He was getting up there in age. He can't move. It's becoming a league where you got to be able to move. You have to be able to make better decisions, and he was throwing way too many picks, and they needed new energy. They needed a young quarterback and a young quarterback on a cost-controlled deal if they weren't going to get Tom Brady. And they didn't get Tom Brady. So I think they picked up some big pieces. I mean, they re-signed Eckler, which very good scat back, also run between the tackles a little bit. Great catcher. His numbers, he's not as good, but we're comparable to Christian McCaffrey. But they also, a big thing about the Chargers, they normally have a disgusting offensive line. And they ended up stealing Trey Turner from the Carolina Panthers for Russell Okung, who's about to retire. And then they picked up Brian Bulaga, been a very, very good tackle for a long time. He's getting up there a little in age, but he's still very productive. Just hopefully his health is good to go. He's protected Aaron Rodgers for a very long time, and hopefully he can do a good job for the team. And then last but not least, we added a corner, which was Chris Harris, and very good slot corner. And that's what he does best. He can also go to the outside, but he's going to really even make our secondary even better.
You added a Viking, Linval Joseph. He's a little bit up there in age, but he's got another couple good years in the tank.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned him too. Linval Joseph will be very big for us because that will help Bosa and Melvin Ingram because they'll have less attention on them. You have a big guy in the middle making a push, so it'll be easier on the pass rush, and he's also good against the run, so it should help the defense.
You didn't mention your favorite Charger of all time, who you guys also got rid of, Travis Benjamin.
Oh, yeah, Travis Benjamin. He's a guy, very fast. He's totally afraid of contact, hates contact, can't catch, doesn't do anything well. And he was just the biggest frustration on special teams and would need to be on the field. And we are very thankful that he's done.
Okay, and how do you feel about the organization as a whole, your coaching staff, GM top to bottom?
I actually think our GM is doing a pretty decent job. It's now going to be on the coach. Lynn's got to really show out, and he's got to have a winning record. He's got to have a good season. I know he's not good with time management and all that stuff, but here's your chance. You know, you haven't had a great record with the Chargers, but now here's your clean slate, and now it's on you. Now you got to put up or shut up. And then their defensive coordinator, he's good, but he's got to put more pressure on the quarterback. He can't be put sitting back. You got monsters with Ingram and Bosa, so you can't be tentative. You got to push the pedal to the metal.
Awesome. So let's get into the draft picks. Start with number 1, Herbert, quarterback. Now, if you had the choice, would you have wanted Herbert or Tua if Tua was there?
Going in, initially, I did want Tua just because, you know, the hype and the name, and I think he's going to be able to sell tickets. But we did need to get a quarterback out of this draft. And there really was 3 quarterbacks and the rest of them.
Wait. Green Bay would disagree with you.
Well, Green Bay is pretty wrong, and they're reaching for a quarterback that isn't ready. Also, he's going to be sitting for about 4 years while Rodgers is playing, and then his rookie deal will be over.
Okay, so you guys get the 6th pick. Tua's gone. Pick comes in. Justin Herbert, Oregon. What are your thoughts?
I think he's a quarterback that is going to need to sit, but he's got a lot of potential. He's big, strong. He can throw the hell of the ball. He can move. He's just got to be able to make decisions quicker, and hopefully he can do that. And he's got to anticipate better, but hopefully with some time, he will get there. I mean, I'm not comparing him to the best quarterback in the league, but it's scary. The best quarterback in the league, which is Patrick Mahomes, in the first year of his season, he couldn't even read defenses. And then he got there. Hopefully, with time, learning, because he's not going to get rushed into the action, he will be that stud for us going forward on the rookie contract. And he's going to have plenty of opportunity because he's in a very good situation. Burrow, I mean, that's a rebuilding team, and Miami's rebuilding. So he's got all the firepower, and he's got less pressure because he was the 3rd quarterback taken. Because everyone compares, you know, all these quarterbacks. I remember there was a time when there was a draft where you had the 3rd quarterback, which was Ben Roethlisberger. You had Eli Manning. You had Phillip Rivers. And who got the 3rd quarterback? It was the Pittsburgh Steelers. And sports fans, this is non-negotiable. We know this. Ben Roethlisberger was a better quarterback than Eli. He was a better quarterback than Phillip Rivers. We know this.
I like that take, and if you looked at him, Roethlisberger was the biggest, strongest one out of the 3, and it's pretty easy to say Herbert's the same way.
Correct. A lot of being a quarterback or players in general, position-wise, is what type of situation you get put into. If you're put into a position where you have a lot of talent and you can sit and learn, he'll be ready for success. Like, as good as Patrick Mahomes is, and he is the best quarterback in the league, it does help that he went to Kansas City. They help him with all weapons, and you got that guy, Andy Reid, calling plays. So it really does help.
Absolutely, and you got to be happy, because I was telling you this before the draft. I was like, look, man, if you plan on getting either Tua or Herbert, you're going to have to move up. You're going to have to trade up there, because I guarantee you Jacksonville could be sitting there wanting to sneak up, take the Lions pick. Lions go down to 9 and still get a guy they really like. Same with New York Giants. I cannot believe New York didn't trade out. I thought that was a trade out 100% option. And they didn't. They stayed there and took the tackle. So you didn't have to lose any draft capital, and the guy fell to you.
Yeah, we were fortunate Jacksonville did not move up, because either Detroit or the Giants could have traded down. I heard the Giants, the reason why they didn't was just in case Miami changed their mind and didn't go with a quarterback, so they didn't want to trade back. They really wanted that tackle, the Georgia tackle, so that's why they stayed there, which a lot of people think those 2 teams, Detroit and the Giants, they missed an opportunity with trading down and getting more picks. And one more thing. If whoever was picking fifth and there was no trade-ups, trade downs, you had the pressure. You had to take Tua because you can't be the GM that passed on him and he explodes. All right? It's just like Zion draft. It's the way it is. So maybe if he gets hurt and stuff like that, you never wish that on any player, then it was like, okay, we were fortunate to then have the sixth pick. Or we couldn't pick him because he got picked right before us.
Right. Your GM is in a situation where there is less pressure because he took the guy that was there. Now, there's three options with Tua. Either Tua gets injured, Tua just doesn't end up being as good as Herbert, or Tua is a freak show and he's the man. One of those options is really good for Miami, but there's a couple options that could be bad. And another option I guess I forgot about is, what if they're both good, but Herbert is just better? Tua's great, but Herbert's winning Super Bowls and dominating. If that's the case, you screwed up if you're Miami. From everything I've heard, read, got all the tools, big arm, tall, good athlete for that size. He did well in big games, Rose Bowl, conference championships. What are the knocks on the guy?
What the knocks are is, does he read the field well? Does he anticipate and make quick decisions? Does he just force balls? And it's just processing information even faster. Also, he did not have a good offensive coordinator with the Ducks, so he really didn't get to run like a real NFL-type offense. And because he didn't have the Alabamas, the LSUs, their quarterbacks got drafted, they had tons of drafted players on their offense. Oregon possibly had one, a guard, to go with Herbert.
Lemieux, and he went fifth round, sixth round?
Correct. So he wasn't throwing to anybody, and for the last 2-3 years, he was regarded as a very good quarterback. If it was a couple years ago, he would have been the top pick. And because Burrow snuck up, here's the thing. Because Burrow pushed up, being the sixth pick, they would have never got one of the top three quarterbacks. He would have been gone by 6. So they were able to stay, luckily, and get their guy.
So who's your player comp for Justin Herbert?
I would go with a little quicker Big Ben.
Okay.
And I guess if you want to go if he ever makes it totally, you could say he's got some versions of Dan Marino.
Ooh, ambitious with Dan Marino. I would also mention possibly a more athletic Carson Palmer with that type of arm.
Yes, Carson Palmer is a good one.
Here's another one that came to me. How about Matt Stafford?
Yeah, Matt Stafford, and hopefully he'll have more, because he's in a better situation, he'll be able to win more and win bigger games and win games. Because Stafford's got a lot of talent, but, he comes up short a lot.
Right, so let's move to your second pick, 23rd overall, Kenneth Murray, linebacker, Oklahoma. Analysis, go.
Well, Kenneth Murray was probably a top 15 player in the draft. The Chargers needed somebody in the middle to man it. They had such a weakness in the middle. They have pretty good D-line. They have a pretty good secondary, right? But they was atrocious. Their middle, their linebacking core was pretty poor. So Kenneth Murray brings a lot of speed, which you're going to need when you play Kansas City. And some of those teams now, the Raiders, they all are stocking up on speed. So you got Kenneth Murray. He's got power. He was a leader. He was like a 3-4 year captain. He's got attitude. He's a winner. He was carrying a defense that was garbage because they're in the Big 12, and he made them at all relevant.
Physically, he checked all the boxes, 6'2", 241, runs a 4.5, almost a 40-inch vertical. So now you have players at all three levels of your defense. You got the two great edge rushers. Interior, you guys are still working on. You got a guy in the middle to go laterally. He's going to be able to run down guys like Clyde Edwards-Helaire that Kansas City went and scooped up with their first pick. It's really funny. You see all the teams in the division completely changed their rosters according to how can we beat Kansas City. That's another fascinating thing. You look, Denver, a couple of their top picks were both receivers, Judy and Hamler out of Penn State. And you see what Oakland did. They went speed. Henry Ruggs pretty much doing an arms race in the AFC West to say who's the most high-flying team that can knock off Kansas City.
That's a good take. I mean, when you have the top quarterback, one of the top coaches, teams are gunning for them. And when they have so much speed and they've been dominating the division the last few years, you got to try to catch them. You got to get more speed on your defense. You got to be able to have a power running game. You got to be able to play keep away from Kansas City because you're going to have to go through them to get to the Super Bowl. And right now, even after all the drafts, and I think the Chargers are going to be really good, but right now a lot of teams are battling for the wild card.
Yeah, it's hard to knock off the winner, too. They know how to win now in big situations, and a team like that gets confident. Look at Michael Jordan and the Bulls with this documentary happening right now. Once they got that monkey off their back, they just steamrolled, and that team has the talent to do that. So it's going to take a team that has the firepower and maybe a stronger defense to take those guys out. Any last thoughts on Kenneth Murray?
They haven't had a linebacker like this since Lights Out Sean Merriman. So it should be exciting to see a linebacker that can turn out to be a stud and leader of the defense with Derwin James and Joey Bosa. It's going to be scary having Joey off the edge, having Derwin and Kenneth Murray coming on some blitzes. A lot of possibilities for Gus Bradley. I wish I could be their D coordinator.
I think your current middle linebacker was Denzel Perriman, and he had more concussions than tackles in his career.
Yeah, that is correct. And don't even get me started about those guys even trying to run and cover a running back. Forget it. Or a tight end, because that's always been a problem for our team.
So let's move to Joshua Kelly out of UCLA. I don't know much about him. What do you know?
All I know is he was one of the most productive running backs in the Pac-12, and he was running with a porous offensive line. And I think he ran for almost 200 yards against USC, and he's very talented. It might have been a little early to take a running back in the fourth round, but still a good pick because you're going to need a guy because Eckler can't carry the load, and Justin Jackson's been injury prone.
Yeah, what's funny, I just pulled up his draft combine profile. Size and strength runner, downhill, absorbs contact. Those are his strengths. Weaknesses, doesn't try to make people miss, rams his head forward. But it makes total sense, like you said about Eckler. He's going to be your water bug, your scat back, catching the screens. Now, this guy's going to be able to punish the defense, kind of more of a battering ram.
Correct. When they had like a Michael Turner, that type of role. He's got skill. I mean, they drafted him in the fourth round for a reason. They think he is more talented than Justin Jackson. Now they have a guy that can go with Eckler, and he sees the touchdowns. He's got a really eye for that because I think his touchdowns are very good. So when he's near the goal line, he's a touchdown hawk.
It's not an eye for the end zone, it's a nose for the end zone.
He's got a nose for the end zone.
He had the wrong facial part. We forgot about one big guy that you guys lost, Melvin Gordon. Are you crying at night? You're losing sleep over that one?
I am definitely not. Melvin Gordon made a big mistake. We offered him a mistake, 4-year, 5-year contract plus $10 million a year for a guy that was always injured or he was fumbling or wanted no business getting in the end zone. He didn't want it. He held out for whatever reason. He felt the Chargers did him wrong. I don't know, if you offer me a nice big contract and I turn it down, I don't think I would be blaming them as the bad guy. So they're going to be definitely better off. He cost the Chargers some games in his career. They'll be fine. I mean, you can't put that much money into running backs nowadays. And the more tread on your tires, the less effective you get.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a fun position to play, but they're not getting paid that well. So to sum up, Josh Kelly, battering ram, powerful guy.
And he should play this year, so.
He should play right away, yep.
Yes.
All right, 5th round, Joe Reed, Virginia. What's the word?
The guy has explosive speed, really good in the open field, hell of a punt returner / kick returner. Also for his speed, he's got really good hands. The opposite of Travis Benjamin. So this guy attacks the football. This guy's really going to open up the offense, be in the slot. Another guy that can return the ball to the house.
I'm looking at him. The guy weighs 225 pounds. I don't think he's going to be avoiding contact like Benjamin. Reminds me of Deebo Samuel. You saw some of these wide receiver hybrid guys come off the board, like Devin Duvernay from Texas. Laviska Shenault is another guy that when he catches the ball, he's a running back.
Yeah, you said Deebo, that's pretty good. Probably not as fast, but I was thinking like a Percy Harvin that can do a lot of things. Electric with the ball in his hands, either with the kick returns or with the ball in his hands. Very talented playmaker. If you can tell me who the Virginia quarterback was that was throwing him the ball, and he was very successful at his time at Virginia. By the way, I looked this up, and he ran a 4.47.
That's another dark horse factor that goes into picking these guys. Like, if you're with a shitty quarterback, maybe you just never got the opportunities, and that's where some of these 4th, 5th rounders can turn out better than possibly a guy, let's say, like Jalen Reagor or somebody in that position.
Yeah, definitely. That's why receivers are very hard to grade and calculate how well they're going to do in the league, because it really comes down to putting yourself in the best position, what team you go to, what type of offensive system, who's throwing you the ball. Football is such a team game. Unless you're a corner, that's probably one of the few positions, you have to so rely on your teammates to get you the ball, to block for you. So a receiver, you really want to be in that right position. And this guy was productive in college, and he'll give them that extra weapon.
So let's kind of skim by these last 2 picks. Safety from Notre Dame, what's the word?
Word is, I guess he was a leader at Notre Dame, Tom Telesco. I think it wouldn't be a draft from him if he didn't take a Notre Dame player. So that's just the way he does things. Possibly a replacement for Adrian Phillips they lost. You know, a do-it-all type of little safety type dime back that New England took from the Chargers. So hopefully he'll be able to replace him, and hopefully he'll be one of those core special team players.
All right, KJ Hill, I do know about him. Ohio State, very productive there. He did really well in playoffs and big games. I don't know why he fell that far. Maybe his athletic skills aren't that high, but the guy was really productive from what I saw.
Yes, he was very productive, and I'll give you a comp. He's like, he compares to Keenan Allen. And the reason why he dropped was he ran like a 4.7 for it.
Oh, God.
But you know, his tape was a lot faster. When he's on the field, it's a lot faster than his time speed. And when you're a route technician, that's very helpful, because if you've seen some of his highlights, guys aren't even close to him how good a routes he's making. Just like when Keenan Allen would make his routes, he was very productive. And I was just hoping in the 4th, 5th round, like, get him, get Kelly. But you were able to steal him in the 7th round? Oh, that's going to be huge for them, especially with your receiving core. Mike Williams as another option. You know, they'll pay it. And then Keenan Allen's coming up in free agency, so they definitely need the depth there. So,
what's your grade on the draft?
My grade was B+ to A-. I think we got a lot of really good players. The key is, does Herbert pop? If Herbert pops, it's an A+. If he doesn't, he's just good. Then it's a B+. You know, we weren't able to address some more of the O-line, maybe an extra corner, but they should be okay at tackle, because I do expect them to take a flyer on Peters for at least a year. Pipkins was coming into his own at the end of the season, play left tackle. Corners, they should be okay. Hopefully Michael Davis bounces back on the outside. But they did have a very productive draft. When you have guys that can instantly help your team, at least 4 or 5 of your picks, you had a good draft. And a lot of teams did.
So let's finish with this question. The Chargers over-under win total next season is 7.5. Over or under?
I'll take that over. Tyrod Taylor's not going to throw the ball to the other team. He's going to more just rely on the talent of his players. Our defense should be able to shut down teams and keep teams low in points. So we should be able to hit that number. maybe 9, maybe 10 wins, and we hopefully secure a wild card spot.
I think you're being wildly ambitious with that. I'm going to go under. I'll go 7-9. And it's only because I don't think Tyrod Taylor's that good, man. I think there's a better chance of hitting that over if Herbert comes in after week 3 and plays really well. Tyrod Taylor, come on. What are you talking about? He's got to go against Mahomes twice a year, Denver twice a year, and Oakland, who's kind of a wild card team that can easily pick one of those two off.
Well, when you say 7, so, if 9 wins, 7 wins, it's about at 8, right? So they think most of that division is around 500, right? You have Kansas City at 12, 13 wins. The rest of the teams are going to be about 7 to 9 wins. So they're going to be battling now to see who gets that spot. They do have a lot of hope going into the next years. They have their young quarterback. They're going to have almost over $115 million in cap space next year. Hopefully they'll have more draft picks. They got a compensation pick, so they'll have another extra pick coming into the next year. And they're going to continue to grow. The Chargers look like they're going up. And the other team in the stadium that they're sharing, the Rams, looks like because they totally went for it and they got burned. So the Chargers should continue to trend up and get better, and it should be a good, fun season. At least we don't have to see Rivers piss games away anymore.
You should have drafted some of Rivers' kids. You'd have a full roster.
Yeah, exactly. I think he already popped another one out when we first started talking.
Okay, what's the over-under for Phillip Rivers' touchdown passes? Or should we do interceptions? More interceptions or less interceptions than the amount of kids he has?
Where is he at in kids right now? Does he have 15 kids? Well, he will throw more interceptions than kids. Touchdowns, it will be close.
Not being too easy on an old flame, are you? All right, Danny, that was great. Thanks for coming on. We hope to have you on more as the season goes and be our AFC West analyst and possibly AFC East are pretty strong with Jets, Patriots, and that division.
Perfect. Call me anytime. This was a blast and excited for sports again.
Hell yeah, brother.
Keep up the good work, Nick.
Yep, later.